America's housing crisis is showing no signs of easing.
Home prices have now totally collapsed in a sense. Yes, it already has happened. I'm not talking about future speculation. This is real now. Let's look at it, but not measuring home prices in dollars, because dollars themselves collapsed first. We'll look at that. This is in terms of real money. Homes might not have been more affordable in your life than they are now, going into 2026. And how could this possibly be true? Also, can't we just print a bunch of money and then everyone gets wealthy? Simple. Every economic problem is then solved. You might have thought that when you were a kid, but we'll see why that's not the case. All of this ties together. You might have an epiphany today that makes you stop and tell yourself, my gosh, I've never thought about the world this way before. And I'm excited to share it with you because this is an amazing lesson on value, scarcity, real estate, and that incessant and perpetual debasement of your dollar. Hi, I'm Keith Weinhold, Get Rich Education founder, longtime real estate investor. I also serve on the Forbes Real Estate Council and see my work in the USA Today. Take a look at how much money we've been creating. It's irresponsible. Look at the steep pitch of that line. You'll see how the currency creation really reached a crescendo in 2022. So the money supply today is 46% greater than it was pre-pandemic, what economists call M2 money. So, of course, then it takes more dollars to buy real estate or most anything now. Since you've got an abundance of dollars, still chasing after only a limited supply of goods and services, then everything costs more. More for real estate, dinner out, gasoline, concert tickets, quail eggs, furniture, a haircut, a box of Cheez-It crackers. Of course, it all costs more. So dollars are a poor measuring stick for value. If this microphone cost $100 10 years ago and $200 today, well, that doesn't mean that it's twice as valuable. The price is up, but the value is the same. So instead, what we want to do is measure using a store of value that can't be printed incessantly like dollars, and use something like gold or Bitcoin. And when you do, you'll see that home prices are down sharply this decade. All right, say that you're buying your home with Bitcoin. No one really does. But stick with me here. In 2016, it took 664 Bitcoins to buy a median-priced home. Today, only about 3.7. That is a 99% price crash in homes measured in Bitcoin. And yeah, before you sell your roof to buy a crypto hardware wallet, let's acknowledge that Bitcoin is still kind of moodier than a teenager without Wi-Fi. It's volatile, and it's only been around since 2009. And look, you probably don't get paid in Bitcoin. Your income is paid in dollars. I will get back to that for you. But first, we've got to check something with a longer attention span than Bitcoin. Gold has been humanity's favorite, quote, real money since Julius Caesar and Cleopatra and probably your great-grandmother's wedding ring. It's had enduring value for millennia, and that's across cultures and continents. Well, let's see how much gold it takes to buy a median-priced home over time. Gosh, I've got a fantastic chart for this, and it goes back to 1890, which is when horses were the main mode of transportation. Many homes didn't have electricity, and people spent the evenings roller skating or mending clothing. Here it is. The real estate to gold ratio. And it really just means that if you were buying a home in gold, here's how many ounces it would take during all these points in time. You can see that back in 1890, it took 338 ounces of gold to buy a home. And there was a lot of great roller skating to be had then too. It peaked around 1,000 ounces in 1970. And then it dropped hard as we had that wave of 70s inflation. As we zoom in on the last 10 years, you can see how back in 2018, pre-pandemic, it took over 300 ounces to buy a home. Well, that's before the big pandemic wave of dollar inflation hit. And after 2022, which is after we printed those trillions of dollars to help prop things up out of COVID, it took less and less and less gold to buy a home. Homes are now less than half the price that they were in 2018. Check out how cheap homes are getting. A more than 50% crash in home prices over just the last 7 years, about a 58% drop. So if you own gold or Bitcoin, everything in the world to you keeps getting cheaper, but you get paid in dollars. That's the problem. Let me address that next, but first, go ahead and put a like on the video if you like how I'm breaking it down. Thanks in advance for the thumbs up. Now, someone new to this thought paradigm, they might be like, look, I get paid in dollars. I don't get paid in gold. I don't get paid in Bitcoin. So this really doesn't help me. In fact, it's even a little frustrating, and that's exactly the point. Dollars can be summoned out of thin air, as can stock shares and government bonds. All this stuff can be copied and pasted, also just like Facebook memes and software code and NFTs of pixelated raccoons. They're all copied with a keystroke, and every new unit of those things that's just conjured into existence, it quietly waters down the value of all the old ones that were issued, all the dollars that you hold on to now. So therefore, instead, winning investors, they rapidly convert their depreciating dollars into assets that are either real or scarce, and that way, the cost of everything could actually get cheaper for you throughout the course of your life. Real estate, gold, and Bitcoin cannot be conjured into existence. That scarcity keeps you afloat while paper money just quietly melts. Now, it's good to keep a few liquid dollars around, like an emergency fund or whatever, but it's wise to limit your dollar exposure. The government can just print more of them and keep diluting you whenever they decide that they want to instantly fund, say, their next infrastructure project, or send missiles to a foreign country. They could just do it on a whim and do it without your vote placed in a ballot box, just continuing to water down every single dollar that you hold on to. The more dollars you hold, the more exposed you are to that recklessness. Because of inflation, in fact, every prosperous person actually has two jobs, not one. Your first job is whatever you do to earn dollars, a paycheck, and then your second job is promptly converting that dollar into something real, and you'll soon notice how it's amazing that everything in the world will seem to get cheaper over time, not more expensive. In terms of those faulty measuring stick dollars, by the way, the existing home price is up about 2% year over year. The bottom line here, the big lesson is, don't just work for dollars, work for something that dollars chase. And hey, talking about something real and tangible, this has fascinated thousands of people. Watch me open a box that has 30 ounces of gold bars inside it right here.